And I'll just say that that is one of the biggest gifts. It's sort of like, making the switch from like B2C or, retail where you're talking about, money, 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 and, sell, sell, sell to an association, which is about delivering value. It's a very similar sort of emotional journey in teaching where out of a class of 25, there's always those 5 or 6 or 7 students that just get it. And it's just so exciting to see their transformation over the course of a semester and to see where they go and how they take what you've taught them and apply it to their own careers. Part of the journey in any new role is to understand what the culture is like and try to, even if you're coming in as a change agent, which that's clearly some aspects of my role, you have to do it within the context of the existing culture. And one of the things I discovered, of course, is that association has a different pacing than, say, retail, where you might have a meeting on Tuesday that sales are down by 3% over projections, and you're pushing out a new sale in the next 3 days, right? That kind of pace, it's just simply different because you have different goals and objectives. And it took me a little bit to kind of move away from the oh my God, we got to move the needle today to we have to service our members over the long haul. So absolutely a different pace, a different mindset. But there's so many parallels in terms of how to tell a great story digitally. How do you take the assets that you have and craft it in a new way to consume it in a more modern or hopefully useful way so that our members and just like retail customers leave feeling that they've gotten what they came for. And then you have to understand what's their need state. What do they want? What do they need? And I think that kind of empathy, again, transcends both, but it is very different. And that thing that I think associations can take from the corporate world is really clearly defining goals and objectives. Being very hyper focused on what is it that we're delivering? What is that journey we want them to take? What is the journey that they want to take and how do we accelerate that? I think that's something that really well-run companies, certainly in the B2C space, understand.
Mhm.
I think from vice versa, the idea of, well, not all our value is in dollars. The experience is just as important. The interpersonal is important. The way our members interact with each other and us. We are an association of directors for directors. And so
Wow.
we are a community to modernize that digital experience. We knew that the marketplace, the expectations of the director community was changing. The age of a director is coming down. People just expect it to work. Quite frankly, they don't want to work hard to get to the information that they have that they need. This is the thing that NACD does really well is that we hire based upon what the impact to our members are going to be. And I think that's something, I think it's one of the few places I work where I can say that I thoroughly enjoy working with almost everyone I interface with. And I only say, I only qualify that because I don't work with everybody, and so, but it's a lot of dedicated people towards a mission and a lot of really smart people who are engaged in helping our members succeed. The first year was about discovery. It was about actually asking our members, how do you see our content organized versus how we think our content is organized? And we did some qualitative research and they were diametrically opposed. And that opened the aperture for us to start to think, well, how else might the member want to experience our content or our services and our consulting services or our chapters or any of the suite of benefits they get from membership in a way that we aren't aware that that's how they want to do it. But getting that voice of the member into the process, into the decision making, into the development was really, really, really hard and really, really beneficial. One of the benefits of this organization is that you have really engaged, smart people who are extraordinarily successful. But the downside is that they're really great, smart people who are extraordinarily successful. So they don't have time to answer my questions about, do you like the button here? Or do you like the button there? You know, and so, we try to do the best we can to get their input. And a lot of it is, based upon best practice and making the next best right decision we can based upon the information we have, so that we're not trying to be perfect, we're just trying to be better and sort of instill a spirit of continuous improvement. I would say the future of association marketing is, to me, it's always going to be about empathy to that members want and need. And I know that sounds trite, and I probably spew it out a gazillion times in my classes, but what it is that they're not always able to tell you what they want or what they need, and you have to intuit that. And I think that takes work and it takes time. And I think especially in an association where, associations, stereotypically are understaffed and have more, too many things to deliver. The idea of carving out time to try to really deeply understand and be empathetic to your members is going to always be the challenge, and I think is always going to be the most rewarding thing. AI is a great way to come up with some visuals, but what it doesn't do is it can't be empathetic, and it can't be insightful in the same way. It won't ask the right question for you. You still have to know what question you need to answer.
Yeah.
And I think that is what the future of marketing is really about, is making sure we have their member. They got their membership perhaps by being part of a board, and the whole board is a member, and they may not really take advantage of the benefits available to them. Understanding what would motivate them to become more engaged with us is very difficult. It's hard enough to reach someone who wants to be reached, but when you have, again, these very successful, very busy people, it's not always the same marketing techniques don't always resonate and work in the same way. And so that person to person, the networking, the chapter networks that host their own events throughout the country, where those individual directors can meet each other and really start to communicate the value of what they might be missing by not maximizing their relationship with us. Not everyone gets to work in their favorite brand, and so I think that's one of the biggest things that students need to overcome. I think intellectually they get it. I think it's harder for them to put into practice. And then I think the idea that, especially these days, what's your campaign? Oh, we're going to do a TikTok video. No, that's a tactic. A campaign is based around an idea with very clearly stated goals and objectives and very clear, segments of customers you need to speak to. It's not about, we're going to do something viral on TikTok to them. And then what do we want them to think, feel, and do? It's a very, very simple foundational framework, and sometimes it's very hard to articulate that in a pithy, concise, actionable way. And I think that's one of the things that I find so fascinating is I don't want to say specific to NACD, but in my experience with like not-for-profits or other sort of public areas, is that there's so much institutional knowledge and institutional understanding that asking people to write something down, especially when you're new and you're trying to learn, can sometimes be a challenge. And I think that's some place where, kind of going back to some of our earlier conversation, where some of that discipline from corporate can be as simplistic and foundational as some of that is. It can really help just make sure, yes, we're all thinking and aligned on the same things. It is important that we constantly look at our operations, like how we do things, and look for ways to be more efficient. And usually it's about, okay, why is this seemingly simple thing more complex than it needs to be, or that we think it needs to be? And is there an opportunity to take out some steps, make a few changes and make it make it simpler. I think there's a difference in keep it simple when you start with simplicity and and when systems are getting more complicated. It's much harder when you're coming in and the system is already complicated to back into what is the simple stuff. And I think part of the way we've rolled out our digital experience, or I should say our updated digital experience, is start with the things that we know are going to provide the biggest impact, that we can execute, with a level of excellence now, and give us more time to understand how to enable those more complex systems, those more complex experiences that might have other dependencies. What can be and what maybe even what should be is not always what's possible today. And being able to understand that, okay, well, maybe this is a 3-year adoption plan internally,
Yep.
and not a 6-month plan.
That's what people were talking about.
And honestly, it's okay to change your mind, right? It's okay to adapt. And I think too often, we have to be live by this date. Well, we had to make a strategic decision to pivot, and we pivoted to working with Adage, and that delayed our launch by several months, but it was the right decision, and we got a better product from it. That I think that's something that highly structured companies, struggle with as well, because digital is fluid. What the best practice and standards are this year. I always start my, when I teach digital marketing, I always say, like, oh, we're going to talk about stuff today, first day of class, that may be out of date in 12 weeks when we finish the class, or 14 weeks. And that's how fast things change. I think the same thing is true with roles and responsibilities and how we work together. It's no longer, solely digital or technology that's dealing with like platform. Digital experiences, literally any digital touch point that member or customer sees in their daily interactions with the brand.
I'm ready.